Let's talk about AEW Dynamite from September the 29th, 2021. Short review is that the first match, the last match, not bad. The theme of the show, not bad. A lot of the stuff that they did, not good. But they did a decent job here showing us what the future of AEW is going to be about. Because so many people have been busting their balls about bringing in Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole and all these 30, 40-year-old guys, right? So they did a decent job of going out and finding Leo Rush, another young guy. Leo Rush is only like 27 or something like that. He's not that old. He might even only be 26 or something like that. So he's in that same age bracket with a lot of these guys that they put the focus on tonight. So tonight we learned about the four pillars, which is something they stole from All Japan. The four pillars of All Japan. When I think it was Taue, Misawa, Kobashi, and there's another one. I'm pretty sure some Puro fans are gonna lose their mind because I don't remember who the fourth one was. Shit, who cares? All I know is Misawa and Kobashi. To be quite honest, those are the only two I really watched. I really don't care about the other guys. But it's generally four top stars from All Japan Pro Wrestling in the 90s. So what they did was essentially they said, okay, there's four young guys, the four pillars of AEW for the future. MJF, Sammy Guevara, Jungle Boy, Darby Allin. All these guys are under the age of 30. I think of the group, I believe MJF is actually the youngest one. I think he's only like 24 or 25. So they put the focus on them tonight. Those four guys. Sammy Guevara wins the title. Jungle Boy lost the opening match, but was pretty competitive. And then you had the great promo segment with MJF and Darby Allin did Darby Allin things. So we're going to start with that. Let's start with the four pillars. Let's look at all of those guys. And then we'll concern ourselves with the rest of the show. So the first match was Jungle Boy versus Adam Cole. This is after CM Punk was introduced to the crowd. And we had a four-man commentary booth, which is never necessary. I didn't expect for him to be there all night, but he was, unfortunately. We really could have lobbed off two of those guys. In any event, Jungle Boy and Adam Cole had a pretty good match. You know, you can look at the way Adam Cole performed and tell that he still kind of uses the NXT shine that they put on him. He was working a little bit slower, a little bit more patient, more theatrics, which you can tell, less. It was a substantially less amount of thigh slapping in this match. Jungle Boy is doing good. He is still very plain. Of the, I guess you say, four pillars, he's the least developed. Even though he has been more active than Sammy Guevara, who, to be quite honest, hadn't been on TV in months, if we're being honest. But he's the least developed of the four because he's been stuck with a dinosaur and a midget for the last year and 2 years. But he might have the biggest upside, especially as a babyface. He's probably the purest babyface of the bunch. He has natural fire. He's pretty skilled. And in this match, he got an opportunity to show his skills off. He did an outside Hurricanrana off the ring apron, which, it's always an unnecessary bump, but it's a cool spot. He kicked out of the Panama Sunrise, only got a 2 count. He's able to get Adam Cole in the snare trap, which was pretty nice. And then we got the finish. The finish, Adam Cole throws a low blow. Ref doesn't see it. He lowers the boom, what they call him the last shot now, which is good. Really good. And Adam Cole gets the win. We'll come back to the Elite promos. I want to talk about these particular guys first. AEW. Again, let's give AEW some more credit. They do a great job with limited commercials. The first match of this show, just like the first match of last week's show, the Grand Slam show, had limited commercials. So they do a good job with the limited commercials. I appreciate that. All right. So later in the show, the next two of the four pillars were in a promo segment. MJF swaggers down to the ring, says he wants AEW to be successful, willing to do whatever it takes as long as he get what he deserves. Then this is where he coins the four pillars of AEW's future. Himself, Darby, and Jungle Boy Now, of course, he says that he's already beaten Jungle Boy. He's already beaten Sammy Guevara. And Darby as well. Darby. Then he says, without me, this company ain't shit. He's the past, present, and future and should be the world champion. And if he doesn't start getting what he deserves, he's gonna make a phone call to a friend that he made in MLW, Bruce Pritchard. You say he doesn't want to do that because Tony Khan is one of his top 2 cons in pro wrestling. And I say 2? Tony would be number... Well, there's Killer Khan. Then there's Nick Khan. And I guess somewhere in there is Tony Khan. But Killer Khan rules. If you ain't seen Killer Khan tangle with Andre the Giant, you're missing out. Go watch that. It's probably on the network somewhere. Oh, well, I forgot. You can't just search the network. You will probably have to look at Mid-South Wrestling. I think they did something there. Their matches might have been on house shows. But they did some stuff there with Mid-South. He did some stuff there. Or was it World Class? I'm pretty sure he was in both. Never mind. I'm off the subject anyway. So Darby marches to the ring. Darby told him that everyone's sick of hearing him talk about leave. If he wants to leave, he should leave. MJF says that he really digs the school shooter, hey, I'm on a skateboard vibe, but he's number 2 in AEW, and he should know what it's like to be number 2 because he hangs around a number 2 guy, and that's Sting. Darby says that he's AEW for life until death, and how can he be number 2 when he's the only one of the 2 of them that had won a championship, which of course got under MJF's skin because he was just out there saying that he should be a champion. MJF then said Darby is straight edge, and then says, oh, you want to know why he's straight edge, and then tells the story about Darby getting into a car ride with his drunk uncle, and his uncle died. And then it was a travesty because the wrong man died. And MJF he really ramps things up really fast. Like, he goes from not feuding with you to you wanting to burn him like a witch on a stake in like 30 seconds. There's almost no build to it. He's like a race car, like that's with like a brick on the gas. He just goes, and it's so disrespectful so fast. Like there's no build up to it. It's just instant. I mean, in any event, he was trying to goad Darby into doing something. Darby said that he's not going to hit him, and that he's not going to let MJF break him mentally. So he wants him to keep talking. He demands that MJF keep talking. This, of course, led MJF to collect Wardlow and leave. So the segment in and of itself was pretty good. I really liked this. They played off of MJF's constant threats to leave AEW, which, he has openly said, and for a while he's a businessman. He doesn't see himself as being AEW forever. And they're just pushing that into the storyline. I think this dead uncle storyline is why Darby paints half of his face, if I remember correctly, which is also probably why, he didn't, punch MJF's lights out. I like that he showed restraint. Usually in a situation, I would say you should throw a punch. But, I enjoyed his explanation. And Darby's not a good talker. He really isn't. He sounded nervous. He didn't look nervous, but he sounded nervous. But I like that he says, I'm not gonna let you get to me. It's not gonna happen. So now MJF has a new mission. He's gonna break Darby Allin mentally. So that means he's gonna probably dig up almost everything personal about Darby Allin possible. Ought to be pretty interesting. When he said his friend from MLW, I thought he was talking about Richard Holiday. I was about to say, oh snap, Richard Holiday ought to be fun in AEW, but alas, they used Brucey Bruce. But this was a good segment. I enjoyed the segment overall. MJF is a great promo, fantastic promo. My only problem is he needs to, slow it down. Like he kind of just uses all of his, he's like one of these guys who just shoots, and he just goes. And sometimes he goes too much, because it still is a wrestling show. You don't want to go so far that people want you to, Like this ain't the old days where, Roddy Piper would have people, or the Iron Sheik would have somebody, they have to sneak them out of the back of the ambulance or something like that. Here, it just seems like you being a shock jock. And that's basically what I said before about MJF, is that he's really good at promos. But his whole thing, his whole steeds is built around shock and awe and disgust, and trying to get you to be upset by things, not personal things, not even kayfabe things, but like personal stuff. And to me, breaking the fourth wall and all that kind of stuff is not really wrestling promo. I know, the Vince Russo generation of wrestling fans who really love that stuff. I don't dig it. For me, I don't find it particularly cool that Deadpool knows that he's a comic book character. So I don't really give a shit that a wrestler is going to talk about breaking kayfabe within the wrestling show. Because if everybody does it, if that's your gimmick is breaking the fourth wall, then everybody can do that. Anybody can do that. That's what, was the problem with the Attitude Era. There's too many guys trying to break the fourth wall. There's no need for it. You build and construct a kayfabe, operate within that kayfabe, it is what it is. But I still enjoyed the promo. I still enjoy MJF. He's tremendous. The feud between him and Darby should be fun. Neither one of them can really afford to lose, considering Darby just lost his feud to Chris Jericho. No, Darby lost his match to CM Punk, and MJF lost a feud to Chris Jericho, which is his last big feud. So can these two guys really afford to be taking losses? Not really, But, they said that they're trying their best to keep these guys, the young guys, elevated on the roster. And I'll give them credit for at least trying. All right, so the last of the quote-unquote four pillars were Sammy Guevara. So we get a vignette early in the night, later in the show, where Sammy says that he didn't even know that Fuego was going to put his car on the line. And Fuego loved that car. He said that Miro is built like a guy, but he doesn't care. He's going to go out there and fight him, that he used to do this in his backyard for nothing. So he's definitely going to go out there and win the TNT championship. And that's exactly what he did. And to be quite honest, some people are going to disagree with me, but I believe this is the best Sammy Guevara match that I've seen. Legit. There was not an excessive amount of jumps. He did some jumps, but they were well timed. He took a silly risk in this match, which I will talk about in a minute. But Miro was in control for most of the match, so it was mostly believable. The big problem is when Sammy Guevara's offense started to kick in, and Miro had to do things Miro shouldn't be doing, like the Spanish Fly. You should never do a Spanish Fly on Miro. You just, not a guy the size of Sammy Guevara doing Spanish Flies on a guy the size of Miro. It just doesn't make sense. I don't like the Spanish Fly as a move anyway, but I didn't really like that. But the standing shooting star press, where Sammy Guevara looked like he was going to tear all the tendons in his knees and and everything. But luckily Miro caught him and was able to hold him and didn't fall on top of him, because if he fell on top of him, I don't think Sammy would have been able to finish this match. But it ended up being a cool spot with the overhead throw. There was a spot where Miro charged into the corner. He missed, flew over the ring apron onto the floor. And then Sammy hit the corner with a plancha over the ring post. It was really dope. It was a good spot. That kind of began his comeback. He hit a diving cutter after that. The Machka kick that took place, I believe it was one of the later ones. It was pretty flush. So then Miro, is going around ripping off turnbuckle pads. He took off 2 or 3 of them. And then he's going to take off another turnbuckle pad, and all of a sudden, 14-year-old Fuego del Sol jumps into the corner. Miro is like, I don't understand why he's protecting turnbuckle pads, but, he did that. The Excalibur yells, "Oh, that's how he beats Fuego del Sol." I'm like, okay. Or no, it was Eddie Kingston. I'm sorry. That's how he beat Eddie Kingston, because he snatched off the turnbuckle pad. So while he was distracted, Sammy Guevara drop kicked him in the back. Boom, he hits the turnbuckle. Then he hits a tornado DDT, which we have been told that Miro has a surgically repaired neck, which I had completely forgotten about. I did, bitch about that before, like, why is a tornado DDT his weakness? because I forgotten he had broken his neck when he was in, I think FCW, and that is why he has a neck. So that's cool, and so that's the turnbuckle, which is his own, the heel foisted upon his own petard, and then the tornado DDT, which is his weakness. Then you go to the flipping GTS type thing, to which Miro rolled himself in position for the 630, which was the finish. Confetti falls from the sky because Sammy Guevara is now the TNT champion. And you know what? The beginning of the show, end of the show, not bad. Sammy Guevara is one of their guys. I would complain about a midget like Sammy Guevara with no charisma whatsoever, a pure work rate guy, beating Miro. I would complain about that, but there's no point. He's one of their guys. And that's really why I wanted to start with them, is because when you're one of the guys, it's like complaining Roman Reigns beat Randy Orton or something like that. There's no benefit to it. We know that these are their guys. And because we know that these are their guys, they're going to do stuff with them to get these guys over, which is the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. So Sammy wins the title. I guess that means he'll be on TV now. I'm also guessing there's probably going to be an Inner Circle celebration of some kind soon. So this is fine. Miro had a nice long run as champion. And to be quite honest, if you look at Miro's career, he spent a great deal of his time undefeated. He was undefeated for like his first year or so in WWE too. And before he got stopped by John Cena. Sammy Guevara ain't quite John Cena, which is kind of bizarre how people are going to say John Cena buried him, but they're not going to say Sammy Guevara buried him, right? Because John Cena is John Cena. Sammy Guevara is, not John Cena. But it's a different era. It's a different time. There's no need to even go there and dig and open that wound. But I'm glad that AEW finally was public about their bias towards these four guys. And I'm okay with that, because we know that the older guys are still going to get a lot of play. They're going to be the ones that's going to be drawing the audience. These guys are still not going to be doing that. As long as CM Punk and Danielson and some of the other older guys they're going to be bringing in maybe over the next year or so, they're going to be pulling the load for the most part. That could be a double-edged sword because these guys are not going to be there forever. There's likely to be injuries. Contracts are going to come up. We don't know what's going to happen in the future, but it's good to know that they have at least these four guys planned for something in the future. Now they got to hope that these guys become draws. And I'm not talking about, hey, we pushed them, but, they don't make any money. But they've been pushing them the entire time. Like they had Sammy Guevara and all three of them, really, all four of them, have been handcuffed to a legend for over the past year or so. Sammy Guevara with Jericho, MJF also with Jericho, Darby with Sting, which I'm surprised Sting didn't come out there. Well, Darby actually wrestled on this show in a absolutely nothing 6-man tag, and it's not even worth talking about. And Jungle Boy is now handcuffed to Christian. So at least they were upfront about these four guys. And so until something absolutely ridiculous and ludicrous takes place, I'm okay with it. All right, so let's get into the rest of the Brody Lee tribute show, which, okay, I know a lot of people were kind of upset about the whole Brody Lee tribute thing. They're in Rochester, New York. Brody was from Rochester, New York. Okay, I'm not one of these people that, oh my God, you're taking advantage of the family. I'm like, nah, man. If they want to be involved, that's cool. As long as the fans are cool with it, as long as it's, well done, it's tasteful. All right, do your tribute show, All right, so let's go back to the beginning of the show. Talk about the Elite. After Adam Cole wins, he bragged about beating Jungle Boy by himself and says that he is elite and he is undefeated. Carl Anderson talked, said nothing. Nick Jackson got the microphone, said literally nothing. Gave the microphone to Nakazawa. Crowd is chanting for CM Punk. I mean, they're just, the universal sign of we don't want to deal with this is chanting for CM Punk. Kenny Omega somehow ended up with the microphone, then said his social media has been blowing up. He even mentioned MySpace. Heaven forbid, see. Anyway, he says that this might be an AEW's best match, might have been Danielson's best match, might have been Omega's best match, but he says he doesn't. It's cool, but he doesn't care that Danielson missed out on his promise. You didn't finish the job. You have a 0 record. Therefore, I do not have to wrestle you again. It will not happen. This Danielson comes out there, says that he doesn't have the balls to give him a rematch. Called him Kenny No Balls Omega, where the crowd chants No Balls, Kenny No Balls Omega. Challenges any member of the Elite for Rampage. Omega says, why Rampage? We could do it right now. Then Danielson called out Kazarian, Jungle Express, and Christian. The Elite then fled. This was, of course, a pain. This is painful. Why is Adam Cole involved with this shit? You know, I'm legit frustrated that Adam Cole, who gets, to be quite honest, his pops are ridiculous. Okay, of the people that they have recently brought in, Adam Cole probably gets the biggest pops, and that, yes, and I think maybe even bigger than CM Punk's, and he is permanently attached to the hip with these losers. These people suck. The Elite are bad. This is, it's not even fun, you know? Like, Omega is barely tolerable, but the Young Bucks and the Good Brothers, man, they're awful. You know, and all these segments where they get together is awful. And the Danielson, his coalition, is also awful. You know? It includes a dinosaur and a midget and the Elmer Fudd of Elite Hunters. I mean, I'm pretty sure he can rely on Christian, but if Christian get a concussion, it's over for him. So, again, I'll have to operate within the context of kayfabe. It is what it is. They're going to have a big match on the tribute show. I'm guessing that's going to be the match where Bryan gets his first win. Well, second, because he's probably going to beat Nick Jackson on Rampage. All right, so the Lucha Brothers. They're in the back. They run into Andrade. Andrade wants to know where's Pac. Nobody knows where Pac is. Nobody ever knows where Pac is. Pac always gone. He's always gone. Then Andrade mentions the AAA Tag Team Championship, says that he wants them. He's got some luchador friends that could take them. The Lucha Brothers are like, whatever, bro. Do you. if you think you can take them, sure enough. It seems, I don't know what's going on with Andrade. He is so lost. He is so lost. Poor baby. Oh, man, he need to call Charlotte. Call Charlotte. You need to roll over and be like, Charlotte, what is going on with my career? All right, the second match on the show, Dante Martin and Matt Sydal versus Cody Rhodes and Big Shotty Lee Johnson. Loud Cody sucks chants around the booze for your boy Cody. Dante Martin is a physical marvel, but I feel like I've seen all his stuff before. That's the thing about being a gymnast. I feel like I've seen your stuff already. You know, like I've seen you do your really awesome drop kick where he hangs in the air before doing a big missile drop kick. It's phenomenal, but I've seen it already. Like I feel like I've seen his stuff already. Matt Sydal just existed out there. There was really no purpose to him. Lee Johnson pins Dante Martin. I don't know why he had to take the pin. Why didn't Matt Sydal take the pin? Come on! He's not one of the 4 pillars, so he can take the pin. Anyway, let's get to the fun part of this thing. Because Cody Rhodes, Arn Anderson, Shotty Johnson, and Tony Schiavone get in the ring. The boos rain down upon Cody. And Cody is literally frazzed. He's kind of like, how do I get over with these people? Okay, I'm just going to call out Malachi Black. Where's Malachi Black? Where's Malachi Black? Arn told him to stop. And says that Malachi Black has systematically destroyed the Nightmare family. And said that there's 2 reasons why. He says, I don't understand what's going on with you, Cody. First match, he completely destroyed you. Then you took your boot off. You didn't talk to me about that. And the second match, you were worried about me and you ended up losing the match. You should have finished the fight. That Malachi is an assassin. That he will fight the man himself, but he's too damn old. And he says that he says if it was If somebody comes up to your car, Cody, they say, get out the car. You say, no problem. And you back up and you let them take the car. If they come up to me and want to take the car, I raise my Glock and blow their brains all over the sidewalk. Because I'm Arn Anderson. And all that implies. I was like, murder Arn. Murder Arn fucking rules. We need a Charles Bronson-like movie featuring Arn Anderson. We need Arn Anderson as a Dirty Harry style character in a movie. I can see it. How old is he? 60-something? He could probably pull it off. He could probably pull off like a Gran Torino, like an old man sitting on his porch, you know, with that visage, you know, that in his face with the gray and everything. I buy Arn Anderson as a man who will shoot a teenager trying to steal his car. I believe him. I believe it. Matter of fact, might have been the most believable shit on the show. As far as match, promo, anything. There's probably real things that have happened that I believe less than that Arn Anderson would shoot a carjacker. I believe that shit. This is a man who attacked Sid Vicious with some scissors. He's a lethal man. He's a bad motherfucker. He gets the seal of motherfucking approval. Arn Anderson's a bad man. And he put everybody on notice that if he found the fountain of youth, we all in trouble. You feel me? You got like a Lazarus pit or something around there, and he gets to dip in, and the enforcer comes out with that tan and that beard where his lips disappear. It's, you know, even with the balding, it might be over for everybody, man. He might run the joint. It was great. Then he says that he doesn't want to deal with losers. He doesn't coach losers. And oddly enough, after telling Cody he doesn't want to coach losers, he tells Lee Johnson, who is a far more prolific loser than Cody, that, you know, to come with him. I'm telling you, Arn Anderson as Charles Bronson. That's where the money is. TNT needs to invest in that. You want to invest in some AEW extra content? You tell Arn Anderson, I need you to get in shape. We'll give you 6 months. Lose 50 pounds if you can. Go keto. You'll lose like 50 pounds. We want to put you in movies. We don't want you to just shoot thugs and people and guys riding skateboards and drug dealers and drug addicts. That's all. I'll be there with fucking bells on, with caramel popcorn and everything. You feel me? All right, Moxley, Kingston, Darby versus Bear Country and Anthony Green. This was brutal. This was stupid. Anthony Green tried a springboard crossbody to on Moxley and Eddie Kingston, and they no-sold it. It was terrible. This was terrible. Of course, you know who won. They did a vignette for Ruby Riott and Britt Baker. So Britt Baker told Ruby that they like the song Not You. That's why they sing it. And she has to go to the back of the line. Ruby said that there will be consequences for costing her the AEW Women's title, but she's not going anywhere. And that was pretty much the end of that. Then we get to something that was so awful, something that was so abysmal, something that was so trash that it completely disappointed me that this was on American television. It was a 16-man tag, to which I did not know who was coming or going. I couldn't tell left from right. I felt like my shoes were tied together, and I was trying to run a marathon watching this bullshit ass match. HFO, the Hardy Family Office, and how horrible everything Matt Hardy has done in AEW has been awful. Awful. This has been the worst run ever. It has been awful. Versus the Dark Order and Orange Cassidy. This was terrible. Matt Hardy says this place, he was supposed to debut in Rochester, New York. But he's glad it didn't happen because these people don't deserve a legend like Matt Hardy to debut in their town. Orange Cassidy comes out to a middling reaction, almost no reaction. The Dark Order, of course, get a big reaction, but not because of the Dark Order, but because of Brody Lee. And then we get these 8 guys just clashing into each other. It was like Dynasty Warriors. You ever played that video game where, you know, you're like some old samurai or something, not samurai, but you're like some old Three Kingdoms warrior, and everybody's going to war in this game. You're just running around, and you just see people smashing into each other. That's how this was. I couldn't tell heads from tails on this stuff, man. It was ridiculous. Just loud thank you Brody chants. Then out of nowhere, Evil Uno says he's leaving. He's out of here. He's out of here, man. He's gonna blow this popsicle stand. Then he gets up the ramp. And then Brody Jr. throws a stack of papers at him, which I'm guessing is a being the elite thing. Then Amanda Huber comes out there and tells him to go back. The entire family is telling Evil Uno, go back and rejoin your brothers. And, even if it's just for one night, go back. And they went back. The Dark Order wins. And everybody hugs the little kid, Brody Jr. They put him up on their shoulders. And, they chant for Brody. They have their Big Brody Lee send off. Thank you, Brody. All that stuff. Look, it was great for the kid. It's good for the kid. Let's put it like that. It's great for the kid. Not exactly great for somebody that's sitting at home. I'm guessing this is the whole point of the Dark Order beef over the last several weeks, and now so that the Hubers can push them to get back together. Because I don't see the point of this if they're going to be arguing next week. I just don't see the point in it. They're still threatening to add Bray Wyatt to this, which is odd because this same fan base voted him worst gimmick and worst wrestler and all this shit. Now all of a sudden they want to put him in this group. It's going to be awful, man. It's going to be so awful. I'm almost hoping it happens. All right. Then we get AEW's newest acquisition, LBO Leo, a.k.a. Leo Rush. Who pump faked another retirement. Anyway, Leo Rush says that he's LBO Leo, leverage buyout, that he borrows against companies who need guidance, and then he makes profits for himself or his company to pay off loans, and that he's a businessman. And I'm just sitting here looking at this screen like, what? Like, if you're gonna do like a businessman gimmick, okay, there's nothing wrong with that. For starters, Matt Hardy's already doing that. But let's say you want to do that. Okay, when you look at how rich characters get rich, right? It's usually something very simple. Cameron Grimes got rich off GameStop stock, right? And Dogecoin. Then you got JBL. It's stock market, Wall Street. The $1 Million Man, probably old money, probably inherited, never had to work a day in his life. Alberto Del Rio, he's Mexican royalty. They told this whole gimmick about Dos Caras, who I believe is his uncle or his dad or something like that. So he was born rich. Leo Rush is talking about leverage buyouts. You're too far into the weeds, right? Like you're like you're too far into the weeds. Like we don't kind of. How do we turn that into a wrestling thing? Outside of, I make money. Like, okay, cool. You're gonna spend money. Okay, cool. How are you gonna leverage buyouts? Why is your gimmick surrounding debt? Like your gimmick involves borrowing money and then paying it back? What? Leo, come on, man. But apparently Leo Rush is all elite. Great young guy. Incredible talent. Can talk, can work. The only real downside with Leo is that he's flaky. And we've seen that numerous times. He flaked out on WWE. He has flaked out apparently on New Japan and MLW and everywhere else that he was working when he claimed he was going to retire. Now he's back because, why turn down the bag from Tony Khan? You wouldn't do that. That's stupid. I would take the bag too. But the bottom line is Leo is a flake. So as long as, the bag is tight, we'll see how far it goes. But Leo is a good introduction to this group. I like Leo. I've always liked Leo. So I'm not going to diss him. I just wish he had a better gimmick. FTR, Dax Harwood cut a promo. Said the excuses are for are crutches for the weak. But they got distracted. They got distracted by all these things floating around. And, Tully's life was in danger. But now they're back. They're refocused and remotivated. And they're back being top guys. Top guys out. And I wish I believed them. But I know Tony Khan is booking FTR. So I have no reason to believe it. Dan Lambert comes out there. He cuts the promo pretty much, repeating what he said before. He talked about Jorge Masvidal's knee going through Chris Jericho's mind. Then gave Chris Jericho credit for putting AEW on his back and taking it to the top. And that there is not going to be any more Fozzy records. That he chopped off the head of the AEW snake. And the fans won't be able to swing off the balls of Jericho. Which is okay. That's all right. AEW with their mythology, where every time you turn around, it's this young company, and it's the top of them. It's got so much momentum. I don't know how many times I heard the word momentum. That it's just a startup, and then it's taken straight to the top, and it's like, come on, man. It's just, come on, enough of this horse shit. We get it, man. Just enough of this horse shit. Scorpio Sky then cut a promo and said that he was one of the first champions. He's got a great winning percentage, but nothing was ever good enough. You guys weren't paying attention. But who was paying attention? Dan Lambert was paying attention. Dan Lambert sees him as a main eventer. And he's going to be a main eventer, apparently. Ethan Page then went and cut a hell of a promo. This is the one thing that I will say. Ethan Page can talk. He's very plain, but he can talk. And he says, you guys want to look past us because you don't think we're tough guys. Because we don't have tattoos and we don't hit each other with weapons and, we don't do all this stereotypical tough guy stuff. But he says that, I've never been pinned, that I got 2 black belts, but I dress like a champ, I talk like a champ, now I roll with champs. And I was like, okay, not bad. For a promo, not bad. I actually did not mind the Ethan Page promo, When he actually has something to say, he's not bad. He's still my sacred favorite member of the North, and he was the first. So now he's got to dig himself out of that hole. When the North was going on in Impact, I thought Ethan Page was probably the best of the bunch because he was animated. He showed some personality. But now Josh Alexander is coming into his own, and Ethan Page has just been pushed right back into a tag team. This time with Mr. Irrelevant Scorpio Sky, who even talked about picking up the brass ring, or what he called the Sonic ring, what you might want to call the hemorrhoid tube. He won a medical hemorrhoid pad, and everybody thought that was supposed to be something. In any event, we get a vignette from Hikaru Shida, who is being, long-running AEW Women's World Champion, and now she's on the journey to 50 wins. She's got 49 wins. And she's going to get the opportunity to win her 50th match. But it's against the Professor, Serena Deeb. And Serena Deeb says she's the woman of 1,004 holds. And that your 49 wins don't mean anything if you can't beat me. And she wants you to step into Deeb's dojo. And you know what? Good. This is gonna rule. This is gonna be good. Serena Deeb can work her ass off. Now she's found the Professor gimmick, so she actually has something to say. It actually informs her promos, as you've seen here, where she still could have done a little bit more with it. I can't believe Serena Deeb is healthy and they haven't been using her. She hasn't been on TV at all. I don't see the point in that. They're making a big deal out of these 50 wins, and now I guess Hikaru Shida is going to win 50 matches. Okay, I guess it's something. They're trying to make things matter. I can appreciate that they're at least trying to do things that matter. Hikaru Shida has been off TV for weeks, though. I'm talking several weeks. When was the last time she wrestled on TV? When she lost the title? It's been a long time. And so has Deeb. And I wish I could say it's been a long time since the Bunny, Penelope Ford, Ty Conti, and Anna Jay was in the ring. But unfortunately, they were in the ring against each other last week in some amalgamation of this nonsense. And now they're back in a tag team match. And I couldn't have cared less. I cannot care less about these people. Anna Jay wins. She thinks she choked out Penelope Ford. Who cares? Jade says she's finally going to get what she wants, which is a triple threat match with Thunder Rosa and Nyla Rose. I have no idea why, and I don't care, man. Who cares about any of that shit? If we're being honest, Jade Cargill is a waste. What all this? They're not doing anything with her. You would think that somebody that they care so much about that they're trying to protect, they would feature her at some point. She would be doing something. Like standing in the middle of the ring, cutting promos, trying to get over in a feud with somebody or something, something normal wrestling shit. No. All her promos is basically that weirdo lawyer of hers talking and her saying, I'm that bitch, or, stuff like this. And now they're going to have a no rules triple threat match. I'm just like, man, they just doing shit, man. AEW's their formula consists of throwing things at the wall. For instance, they have an anniversary show and they're bringing back the casino ladder match. I'm not actually not mad at that. It is what it is. We don't know who's going to be in it because again, it was just announced and there was no build up for it. So, do we care who's in it? Not really. So it ought to be fun, and I'm all for fun TV. So this show was like a U shape, great start, great finish, big sack of nothing in the middle, and it started with the Elite, and the Young Bucks got almost no reaction when they came out. Cody got booed. Almost all of the guys who were here last year, their reactions, for the most part, not all of them, though, because Darby, MJF, Sammy Guevara, they're still over. But the Elite, Cody, Orange Cassidy, they're struggling out there, man. I think people are kind of sick of them. I think people are kind of burned out on the Elite. They're kind of burned out on Orange Cassidy. They're kind of burned out on some of the guys who've been around for a while and they've changed nothing. And they haven't really been doing much of anything. But for the most part, I think I certainly enjoyed the first match and the last match. So hopefully we could try again next week. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel. Let me talk to you guys later. Peace out.